Namaskar, dear seekers, and good evening to all of you. So, dear seeker, it is nice you are joining us to our live stream session tonight on our series of question answers. So, today's topic will be how to overcome anxiety and fear. So, first, I would like to introduce myself in short. My name is Cyriaque. I come from France and I'm doing spiritual practice for more than 20 years, where I live in India. For more than 10 years in an ashram doing spiritual practice. And now, since 1 year and a half, we are traveling around Germany. Due to lockdown, we are staying now in Germany. We are still in caravan, even as we speak. We are doing the live stream from the caravan now. And about SSRF, that is the acronym of Spiritual Science Research Foundation, that was founded in 2006 with the blessing of His Holiness Dr. Vallee, that is a saint from India. And SSRF has two main objectives. One objective is to explain about the spiritual dimension and how it can affect us positively and negatively, and in conjunction also with the University of Spirituality that was also founded by His Holiness Dr. Vallee. A lot of research is done using biofeedback device to also show how whatever we do, we can see how sometimes our aura field can increase negatively or increase positively depending on a certain action we do. And all the research also is published on the website. So I invite you to read. We have more than 700 articles on different subjects from our research. We have spiritual phenomenon as well as about spiritual practice. And the second platform we offer is to help seekers in their spiritual journey, regardless of their path, all the way to God realization. And for that, we have also many online meetings free of charge that happen every single week in English and other languages as per your time zone. So I also invite you, if some of you are new, you can always join because there is a lot of things to learn from, of course, the satsang conductors and as well seekers who share their experience and learnings. So before we start our live stream sessions, what I will ask you to do is we will just for 2 minutes meditate or chant just to achieve a stable mind and to have a calm mind. So we will just play a divine chant in the background and you can just repeat, or you can focus on your own breath or your own meditation. We will do that for 2 minutes.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय 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 ॐ.
Dear seeker, you can open your eyes. And some of you, if you are just joining us, today's topic, it's our question series of question answers. It's how to overcome anxiety and fear. So I will be sharing some points just for 20 minutes and the remaining will be mainly your situations where you experience anxiety and fear, where you can share our questions in regards to this topic, and then we can answer lives your situation with a spiritual perspective or solution, or answer your questions also. So dear seeker, we can start now with the topic today. As we can see, and all of you, last year now, we have seen many new events in the world, including the corona, we can say the pandemic, political and economy challenges, and that has impacted also most of us. And we may have also experienced, and in some situations, sometimes some may have felt hopeless now in the situations. And we may have experienced also anxiety or fears in those situations, or what will happen next in the future. So maybe that anxiety is there also, of what will happen to me tomorrow. So also today we would like to hear from you about your experience about anxiety and fear, and we will share with you that solutions, spiritual solutions, or specific questions also about your situations. So just wanted to go through some point first about what causes anxiety and fear. Actually, it comes from our mind, and our mind is subtle in nature, and it is comprised of the conscious and the subconscious mind. So I would like to show you a slide. It is a diagram representation of the mind. And as you can see now, we have the conscious mind with just 10%, and the subconscious mind with 90%. And this is where all our impressions, there is millions of impressions in our subconscious mind. And in the subconscious mind, there is impression from this life and many previous life also. We may have fear and anxiety also in past lives that we cannot remember, but coupled with the impression of fear of anxiety from this life, the anxiety of fear grow and keep sending actually impulse to our conscious mind. So we get those thoughts from about fear and anxiety. So just now, I would like to come back, and then mostly we resort in trying to change the situations, but situations are sometimes not in our control, and we have seen on this year with many challenging situations. So to actually overcome anxiety and fear and remain stable, so instead of changing the situation, I would like to say an important point, we need to change our response to the situations. So how we can do that? How we can change our response to a situation? So to be able to remain stable and keep our fear and anxiety, we can say, under control, we have to reduce those impressions coming from the subconscious mind. So just would like to share also how impression has been formed in our subconscious mind. It has been formed through repetitions. So how quality, defect, or we can say anxiety, fear has been also created through repetitions, through different repeated situations in different situations. So how we have learned tables of mathematics, how we have learned languages through repetitions. So similarly, whatever it is impression of anxiety, fear, or anger, it has been repeated a number of times, because many times we don't know, no, when we experience anxiety and fear, we don't know how to stop it. These impressions start running in our mind, and we feel no way out to stop those thoughts coming. So I will also share with you two techniques that will help us or to help to overcome this anxiety and fear. And just wanted to explain about when we use these two techniques, one process happens. It is called the deflection method. I would like to show you now also another slide to explain a little bit about the deflection method. So we go back to the diagram, as you can see, of the mind and the subconscious mind. So there is a rule, there is only one thought at a time who is allowed to go from the subconscious mind to the conscious mind, because there is a barrier, a thin barrier between the subconscious and the conscious mind. But we may feel sometimes, no, there are so many thoughts in my mind. But in reality, because the speed of thoughts are so fast, it gives us that feeling that we have many thoughts. But in reality, only one thought at a time is allowed. So when we use these two techniques that I will share with you, what happens? The other thoughts are deflected. That means they are ignored. Why? Because they are not able to enter in our conscious mind. So because they are deflected, in time also, they start to lose strength. So slowly, with these two techniques, we are able to achieve a more, we can say, stable mind. So just to go back now, to explain and share with you about the two techniques. So some of you, if you are following us, you may be knowing that simple technique is called chanting. It is actually an ancient technique from India. It is repeating a name of God as per your religion, or if you are not attached to your religion, you can always repeat the universal chant, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Because when we repeat a divine chant, at that time what happens? Only that thoughts go to our conscious mind, and also the name of God is associated with the divine principle. So the other thought automatically reduced, or we can say unwanted thought, or thoughts of fear and anxiety reduced. They are not able to enter our conscious mind. So what happens? We start experiencing less thoughts, and because less thoughts are there, we are able to experience more calmness. I know some of you who may be practicing chanting may have experienced it already. And also just wanted to share for those who are coming, we also have session of collective chanting meditation online 5 times a week. It is one way, an easy way to practice it. The second technique that helps also is called autosuggestions. It is a specific sentence which we repeat in our mind, and it helps to, it replace actually a negative thoughts or a negative emotions, action or negative reaction also, and it is replaced with a positive one. So not only it reduces the number of thoughts in our mind, but it will also address the impression in the subconscious mind. So it will address directly the fear of anxiety in our subconscious mind. So here it has double effect. That means it will work as a deflection method, and at the same time it will reduce the center in our subconscious mind. So just to give a simple example is of autosuggestions. It can be like, whenever I become fearful of what will happen to me in the future, I will become aware that God is there. I will remain calm and will focus on chanting. See, just to give an example, so many times, some of you may have experienced when the thoughts of anxiety or fear come, we get stuck into it. We don't know how to stop it, because it's like a CD player, no? The negative thought keep playing in our mind all the time. So we don't know how to stop it. So chanting is one way, and this autosuggestion is another solution that helps to stop this vicious circle, to come out. And that's why we say, I will remain calm and I will go back to chanting. So in a way, we stop these vicious circles of unwanted thoughts or unwanted anxiety, unwanted fear. Because nobody wants, no? Nobody wants fear of anxiety. But what happens when it comes? Most of the time, we don't know how to stop it. And just about autosuggestion, it's part of a method of self-hypnotherapy that it's also customized. And that means that the example I have given you now, it can be as per you. You can frame it as per your mind will be able to accept. So this is important, that autosuggestions are done in specific way that will be tailor-made also for you. And it is important to be framed properly, and because there is a process in this personality defect removal that actually has been advised by His Holiness Dr. Vallee, that is the source of inspiration of SSRF. And Remember, I shared with you also that as SSRF, we have this platform where we help seekers. So in our group of meeting, we also explain quite a lot about this process of overcoming defect or person, and we help seeker also with you how to frame the auto-suggestion technique. So now I would like also, now I have spoken for some time, now it's your turn. I would like to give you a minute so that you can share in the chat your situations in which you have experienced anxiety or fear at your individual level, and then we can go through each one. So you can write on the chat if some situation where you want to overcome anxiety or fear, or if you have any question in regards to anxiety or fear, you can write now on the chat, and then in 1 minute we will I will start going through them, and then we can answer your questions. I think some of you may be typing. So just would like to share also that we have some case study on the website. We have 2 case studies of seekers. One who have overcome anxiety, and another who have overcome fear, so that you can also read those 2 case study. Actually, there is a comment also from Karin Gondalovic, who said, "Thank you for raising this topic. You said that you also struggle with fear of the future, social anxiety, and you are actually auto-suggestion and chanting stabilize you and give me courage and strength to face painful impression." That's good, Karina, that you are already able to experience how this auto-suggestion chanting is helping you to stabilize and give you courage. And just is a matter of time also where actually we can overcome completely such problem, like you say, fear, social anxiety, fear of future. So it is very possible to get free from that. I think there is a question now from Sandra. You said you have experienced anxiety and fear, thinking about World War III, and thinking that I may die in the war. So Sandra, this is, I think, quite a few are having that fear or worry of, we can say, anxiety of what may happen tomorrow, because some know or believe that some difficult time is coming ahead. So that's why chanting is one way, Sandra, and you can see how to frame one auto-suggestions. So it can be specific of your thoughts. It is important to frame the auto-suggestion as per the thoughts. So let's say if it is whenever I start feeling fear that I may die in World War III, I will become aware that God may protect me, or God is there to take care of me. So I will feel reassured and will focus on chanting. I will repeat, whenever I feel fearful that I may die in World War III, I will become aware and realize that God is there to take care of me. I will feel reassured and will focus on chanting. So you can see here, because the main thought now is fear of dying in World War III. So that's why it is important to address this in the auto-suggestions technique. If we compare, let's say, chanting and auto-suggestions to overcome a fear like that, so chanting will help to reduce the number of thoughts, but the real medicine will be actually the autosuggestions. And that's why it has to be specific with the exact thought that trouble you. So let's hope, Sandra, it is okay for you. And in case we can ask our moderator, we have two seekers who are moderating in the chat of Facebook and YouTube. So if we were not able to write the autosuggestions, you can write on the chat and we will write again the autosuggestions for you. From addict to music, it is good, no? You are addict only to music, not to something else. How long it takes to change from the subconscious to the conscious mind? See, ultimately, subconscious mind is full of impressions, quality and defect. Defect are those things that will give us pain, no? Such as worry, anxiety, fear, anger. So it depends. It depends how. It depends of two aspects. One aspect is how much personality defect we have. That is one aspect. And the second is how much intense effort we work on it to overcome it. Because example, if the person may have many personality defect or struggle, but give sincere effort to work on this process, then with it sometimes they may be able to experience relief and changes. But if the person may not have so many personality defects, but don't make so much effort, then the change may not occur. So the more important is whether I have many personality defects or whether I have less. The more important aspect is to work sincerely on this process because we are sure to get result. From Lindsay Odgosson, the future make me fearful as I want to change my job. So Lindsay, similarly, you can hear, of course, we recommend this chanting because it's easy. Chanting can be done anywhere, anytime. Most of the time, see what happens when you walk, cooking, we go for shopping, or we do some random activity, commuting. At that time, many times we keep our mind wandering, and most of the time those thoughts will take us either in the past or in the future, and they are not related to the task we do. And this is 80% of our thoughts are unwanted and not necessary to the task we perform. So at that time, chanting will help us to actually remove them, reduce those unwanted thoughts, and that saves a lot of energy for us. And if you have a specific situation, that fear of changing a new job, at that time you can also take an autosuggestions. Whenever I feel stress or worry or fear of changing or what will be my new job, I will become aware that it is, I just need to find a solution. So I will remain calm and look for a new job, something like that. Something that you, ultimately, what is the process of this autosuggestion? Is this to stop our mind and then to look for a positive solution or for a positive action. Because remaining worried about the job will not change anything. But if we do something, that will change. It can change. From Satish Shandan, you say sometimes mind start worrying without our knowledge or intentional thinking. I try to convince the mind and it doesn't help. See, it's the same thing, no? We try to convince the mind with our intellect. We try to reason the mind with our intellect, to tell the intellect, no, you should not think like that. But just to understand that our mind overpower our intellect. As we show in the diagram, no? The impression in the subconscious mind goes to the conscious mind and overtake intellect. So that's why here is this process of autosuggestions helps to reduce the impression in our subconscious mind. And when the strength of that impression in our subconscious mind become less, at that time the intellect is able to overpower. So as we're trying to convince our mind, like I should not get angry, or I should not be fearful, no. It doesn't work, it doesn't help us, no. That's why chanting or autosuggestion is one simple way. If you look, those techniques are very simple, very easy. But where is difficult is implementation with consistency and in a proper plan and discipline. This is where the challenge comes. Because repeating God's name is not a difficult reading an autosuggestion or repeating an autosuggestion is not difficult, it's two sentences. But where is the struggle is implementing. Why? Because our mind would likes to do what he likes, what he wants. From Sharda Suman's another question, why are so much worry about future or tomorrow? See, there is a good question, Sharda, also. There is also why there are so much worry is because we also don't have faith in God. So because there is no faith in God or less faith in God, then we are worried, no? Why? Because the world is unpredictable. We don't know what will happen to us tomorrow. One factor is because also destiny. We go through ups and downs, so we are aware that there is some good days and bad days. And we know that how outside the world is not stable. That's why our mind doesn't know better than just worry. But when we develop faith in God, when we do spiritual practice, no, and we develop faith in God, then the fear or worry or anxiety cannot exist. It is not there anymore. We are always calm in the situation. But to achieve faith, we should do spiritual practice. It's not something that develop overnight. So first is how to reduce thoughts in my mind, how to achieve a stable mind. Then when we achieve a stable mind, then we are able to make the next steps in spiritual practice, how to grow. First we want to, it's like we are trying to plant a tree in a field full of of wild grass. First we have to remove the wild grass, and if we plant a seed, it will grow properly. So that's why those techniques are simple, but again, it's how to put them into practice. From IGP, you said anxiety increase about future and corona. I think that is for many, IG now, more and more people. That's why we are taking this topic also today, because it was also mentioned in the news. More people are experiencing anxiety due to the situation, and we can see now everywhere in the world, everyone is waiting for the next news of what will happen next or what will be the next decisions. From Akosh Nagi, you say sometimes it's hard to say what situation can be changed or not. For example, workplace keeps coming to mind, like an illusion that things could be changed. I feel some manager project that, but they are not open. See here, same Akosh, what we say, we are not here to change the situations, but to change our response to the situations. So when we start working on ourselves, reducing our reactions to the situations by reducing our anxiety, fear, or whatever can be the other maybe defect, expectation, anger, then what happens now? Our outlook to the view of the situation change. And then we are able to remain more stable. We don't react to the situations. For Manjunath Ramai, you say, when I take some responsibility, if there is a gap or delay, sorry, just one question. When I take some responsibility, if there is a gap or delay in completing an expected task, I become anxious. See here, Manjunath, you can take similarly an auto suggestions about specific to that situations. It will be like whenever I become anxious, when I'm not able to finish my task, I will become aware of it, and I will become aware and realize that I can plan again. So I will remain calm and make a new plan. So I think to go back to Sharda about your question, no? You say, why are we so much worried? So I answer also, because we lack faith also. So you ask, then how to develop faith? What is the first step towards it? As I share also, to be able to develop faith is by doing spiritual practice. See, most of the time what's happened, no? We believe in ourselves. We believe in what we see. But we don't believe God is there all the time. Why? Because we can't see Him. We don't believe He is actually present all the time. But when we do spiritual practice step by step, then slowly, slowly we start experiencing, we start what we say, we get spiritual experience, anubhutis, where we experience God's presence. And slowly, slowly, our faith start growing. But as I shared before also, so chanting is one step. It's an easy step, chanting, because it helps to reduce the number of thoughts in our mind. So because there is less thoughts in our mind, we are more stable. And because we are more stable, we are able to work on ourselves in a better way. Ultimately, spiritual practice is to see how we can overcome things within us, like personality defect, ego. There is one step also, how to develop spiritual emotion. That is a more higher stage, to develop spiritual emotion. It's to experience that God is present everywhere or in me. But for that, it takes time to work on it. We can't develop faith overnight. So it's a matter of practice only. As I shared before, no? I want now to develop a plant or a tree in a field full of wild grass. First I have to clean it, no? Then it can grow properly. From Sri Ari, it's okay, Sharda, or you have other question, you can type it also. From Sri Ari Ganesh, some religion tell people if they don't follow that particular religion, they end up in hell. Sometimes such thoughts bother me and I get anxious. And yes, that is, I can understand what you share, because in reality it is not like that. God is actually one only and present everywhere. So it is not because we follow one or another one that we will go to this place, hell or heaven. Ultimately, we go to a positive place of existence, or we go to a negative place of existence as per our spiritual capacity or spiritual level. So that is actually a misconcept that sometimes religion may give, to give fear to others. But in reality, it is not so. Ultimately, we should practice spirituality. We should go beyond religion and realize that God is one only. God is the same God for everyone. Even though path may be different, but the place is the same, is God is one only. From Sharanya Desai, nowadays many people at such high level of anxiety that it starts affecting them psychologically and also physically, and then they have to take help of psychiatrists on the daily medication. Yes, Sharanya, it is like that now in today's time. Why it is like that? Because people are not practicing spirituality. So because of more and more challenges, people don't know solutions. They remain stuck in their own anxiety and worry. So that's why, but at least for you, your question should be, what about you? How can I make spiritual progress? Because ultimately, you know the answers. No? People are having problem, but ultimately, what I should do to make spiritual progress, what I should do, if you don't have anxiety and fear, that is okay. But what I should do to overcome the other maybe defect that I have, that will help you more to make spiritual progress. But it is a correct fact that you share, Sharanya, that in today's time, yes, more and more people, but actually, if you look at it, now solutions are simple, but people want easy. And some people are ready to pay money to get a fast-track solutions. But it is not like that. It is impossible. So we resort to medicine. It is easy, simple. but that is not, it will not help us to overcome. Medicine will just be symptomatic. It will just control the problem, but it will not cure it. There is another question from Olja Brankovic. I'm afraid of something bad to happen. I don't know exactly what will happen, but something bad that I think has to happen somehow so that the negativity can be overcome. A vision that this bad energy, when trying to overcome them, have to act their part in the real physical realm. I mean that fear really have to happen because of attracting them. See, Olia, what you share is also, see, when we have in our mind fear of anxiety, it becomes also an entrance for negative energy to affect us and often magnify that thought. So that thought may be there in our mind 5, 10%, 15%. Then negative energy will make it 100% and make us believe that something will happen and give us sometimes vision. Some people see sometimes visions of what will happen, or some people see pictures of what will happen. Some people hear sounds or voices, so it makes them scared. So sometimes to understand also that negative energy magnified such thought and use our weaknesses such as anxiety and fear to trouble us. So that's why also here chanting, repeating God's name, we recommend Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is one of the best protections. Because why also at SSRF we recommend Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya? Because as per the current time, negative energy is higher, and this divine chant, it is Sanskrit, has that capacity to fight the negativity or the negative vibrations. So when you repeat this divine chant, you attract this divine principle or divine energy within you, and this will protect you. So that's why we recommend chanting as well some other healing remedy. So it can be saltwater remedy, it can be using box remedy. So like that we have at SSRF different self-healing remedies that you can do by yourself at home. We can pass on the chat those other remedies so you can see. But just also you can always resort to the autosuggestion technique. But in your case, how you have described, Olga, it looks like negative energy use your anxiety and fear and gives you different experience to makes you worried that something will happen. But it may not be so. And just chanting will be a protection and may reduce in time this. Just also, Olia, to share, when we start chanting, it is not like it will overcome within few hours, few days. It will take some days, weeks for experiencing relief from that. Initially, what may happen, it may reduce to some extent, then come back again with force, then reduce again. And some of you can also monitor when there is new moon and full moon, at that time whether the anxiety and fear is more pronounced. You can see even now, I think today it is a full moon day, or tomorrow, I think in the next 2-3 days. I don't know if it was yesterday or today. And whether you have noticed also that at that time the mind is more easily disturbed, because it's the same process. Negative energy at that time use our weaknesses to trouble us and magnify the different thoughts in our mind. So that's why here healing remedy or chanting will help us. If you have any question, Olia, about what I shared, you can say. From Vesna Franciskovic, I felt that the more I'm doing chanting, that I need more and more practice to be okay mentally. Sometimes anxiety keep me all day. I chant and listen to chanting all day. See, Vesna, it depends how long you are chanting. Ultimately, what can happen now when we start chanting? You can see whether you have experience. When you start chanting, ultimately it gives you relief and it reduces. And sometimes it may increase also. So the two things can happen. Is sometimes what happens is when we start chanting and there is negative energy affecting you, at that time negative energy will react. So at that time we may find difficult to chant, or we may experience much more struggle in chanting. But just it's a question of time, and if you persevere with the process, then slowly the number of thoughts will become less. And you can club chanting also with other healing remedies such as nyas, and as well, and if you experience emotions, at that time you can do the nyas at the level of the heart chakra. It is 1 centimeter above plexus. Nyas is bringing the 5 fingers together. It's a mudra posture. We will also paste in the chat the link of the nyas, and then you can do this at the level of the heart chakra. That is also when some of you experience anxiety or fear, you can use that nyas, because it's to whatever is emotion is related to the chakra of the heart. It is not the heart, and remember, it is 1 centimeter above plexus. So at that time you can always do this nyas posture and start chanting. From Saurabh Gupta, you say that whenever I face uncontrollable situation in life, it ends with anxiety and fear. How to overcome this? So similarly, Saurabh, to see what are the situations that you are facing, and it can be like framing those autosuggestions. So whether those situations cannot be changed and it happened, and sometimes then we need to accept them as they are, maybe to tell ourselves that that situation was to do destiny, but I will remain calm and balanced. So ultimately you can see these chanting techniques help us to reduce the number of thoughts in our mind. And when we are able to achieve more stability, even though we may face situations that are difficult, at that time we remain more stable in the situation. And because we are more stable, we may react in a better way. And then ultimately the end may be better. Because when we are unstable, definitely we will make more mistakes and we will end up in more challenges. From Amamanita Chechen, can chanting change my personality to become overall more confident and strong? I have always been weak. Amamanita, I would like to share to you the answer is yes. Yes, because chanting is one tool, and autosuggestion also can really change a personality of a person. There are many seekers who experience, some may have experienced anxiety, fear, some because of having insecurity, so they feel weak in some situations. And it is very possible by spiritual practice such as chanting or autosuggestion, we can overcome it 100%, and then we can become confident. We have shared, I think, pasted in the chat also 2 case studies of seekers who overcome anxiety and fear. But after that, Amamanita, it's a matter of putting into practice, and it takes time. See, if I've been weak for 10 years, 20 years, it will take me some time to become confident and strong. It will not happen over few days. First, I will be able to overcome weak, I will become normal, and after normal, I will become confident. And just to go back to Olia, it is you about what I shared before, and you say, okay, I will try with chanting. And your question is it chanting also useful to let go of emotion, trapped energies? See, chanting will be one tool, where we have sharing 2 tools, because chanting helps us to reduce number of unwanted thoughts in our mind, and we get positive vibration by repeating a divine chant. But to overcome actually emotion, we are actually in our subconscious mind, or we can say unwanted memories due to some past impression. This will be help with the tool of autosuggestions, because this address the exact we can say emotions that we are not able to let go. So it will be like giving an autosuggestion that whenever I remember and we mention the situation, I will realize that it is past. I will let go. I will remain in present and focus on chanting. So yeah, if you need help, you can always write to our seekers, and we can help you to frame that suggestions, to able to let go of past impressions. This also technique of autosuggestion is very helpful to be able to overcome impression from the past, because most of the time what happens, it is the same thing. Those impressions or emotion remain in our mind, in our subconscious mind, and we don't know how to remove them. Even though we don't want, they remain in our memory, and autosuggestion is one way to erase them completely from our subconscious mind. For Matangi, you say, still there are some time palpitations happen, like when we know what is right things to do. Sorry, just I have to go back because it moves. Still there are some time palpitations happen, like when we know that what is right things, but we are not doing. It is not clear to me, Anne Batengi, what you are trying to say. If you can reframe your questions to understand it a bit better. From Shrikant Kalkar, you said, I have anxiety and fear that in year 2023, the most of the world may be destroyed due to some war, pandemic, or disaster. So Shrikant, this is what I shared in beginning, and that I think there were one lady who shared she has fear of the World War III. So you can take autosuggestions, you can frame this autosuggestion to overcome that fear of what is coming ahead. And if we do spiritual practice, then we start developing faith in God. When we have faith in God, then we don't have worry, because we feel God is there with us. God will protect us. From Anna Cooper, sometimes there is unexplained fear and anxiety at the time of going to bed and while getting up in the morning. I felt it is in my body, going through many situations at the moment. See, Anna Cooper, it's a good experience that you share. So it can be two things. So what happened is we have impression in our subconscious mind. It can be due to present situation or from previous birth that we will not know. But here what is interesting, it is unexplained. You can't explain it why. And it happens when you go to bed and when you get up in morning. So what can be is at that time, if it is at night, negative energy, see, we all have anxieties and fear at different degree. It will depend from everyone. But here what can happen is negative energy take advantage of the night and magnify your anxiety before going to bed so that you feel disturbed. And when we wake up in morning, at that time also, negative energy at night is stronger. So when we wake up in morning, our mind also may not be stable. By the time you experience that instability, that anxiety. But the thing is, what you can do is before you go to bed, you sit and chant for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. The moment you sit to go to bed, before closing your eyes, and you start experiencing that anxiety rising, you just pray to God and chant for 5-10 minutes with concentration. And then go to bed. And then same thing, when you get up in morning, same thing. You can just chant for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then start the day and see what you experience. From Yolanda Cosma, you say, my anxiety started when I witnessed my mother dying of pancreatic cancer, and since then I have fear of sickness and death. It's not easy to overcome anxiety and fear. Many fearful life experiences in our lives create anxiety and fear in the present, I think. It is like an imprint on the mind that just keep popping up sometimes. Yes, Yolanda, what you say is very correct. And as you have witnessed, no, difficult situations, so it is very natural that that situation remain in your mind. And as you say, it's like an imprint, no, in the mind, and it keeps coming back. Why? Because we don't know how to let go or to overcome that impression. But here, what you can do, Yolanda, you can work on these autosuggestions to overcome that past impression. So it may be that whenever I feel fearful of death, when I remember how my mother was dying, I will realize that it was her destiny. I am in present now. I will remain calm and focus on chanting. So like that, when you repeat such type of autosuggestions, it will tell you that no, night is past. This is what happened to her, but may not happen to me because it was destiny. And now I'm calm, everything is all right. And focus on chanting. That will divert your mind instead of getting entangled, no, in that past situation. Your mind will be diverted to chanting. And when we repeat that autosuggestion a number of times, slowly, that impression start becoming less and ultimately doesn't pop up anymore. As you say, it keeps popping up. Normal, no? Because there is nothing to stop it only. But when we work on it, because the strength of the impression become less, then they don't pop up anymore, and then they can be erased completely. Like that, we have many seekers who not only overcome difficult situations from past or childhood, but traumas also. Autosuggestion can also help to overcome traumas. That also is kind of a trauma, no? That is understood and natural, but we can be free from those negative memory. Because when we are free from that, then we are not worried, no? We are able to remain in present and we are able to enjoy the future much better. If you have any question, Yolanda, what is clear to you, or about the autosuggestion I have shared, if you want us to write on the chat, we can write to you. There's another question from Venkatesh Kamat. Anxiety regarding hatred, nature, lot of insult happen in my life, so I can forget lot of social anxiety. Okay. So Bekantas Parano, same, whatever happened to us. Whether it was due to destiny or whether it was caused due to some situations. But ultimately we want to be in present, we want to forget the past. And to forget the past, we have to work on it. We have working on chanting and autosuggestion can erase the past, bad memories. Then we are able to go ahead in future. From Anya Z, you say how to overcome fear of manipulations, mocking and spiritual attack from spiritual people or people with more power. Everything already happened. Very destructive spiritual people. See again, Anya, here what is important is when chanting God's name. When you repeat God's name, it is not like something telling to you, no, you are repeating by yourself only. And God's name protect you. There is a principle, name, form and energy coexist. So when you repeat a divine chant, you attract this divine principle within you. And then you get protected. And what you can do self-healing remedy. Because no one do something to you, no? You are self-dependent. You don't depend on anybody. So like that, salt water remedy, nyas, boxes, chanting, you can do it by yourself only. For Melanie Gonzalez, Namaskar, I get anxious about a potential future alone from everyone, and I forget gratitude for the present moment. See, Melanie is correct, no? When we are anxious, we can't have gratitude. When we are worried or we are fear, at that time we forget God. We cannot have gratitude for the situations. We can't enjoy the situation at all. So it's the same thing. What you can do, Melanie, is chanting and taking that auto-suggestion whenever I become anxious about future of being alone, or whatever is a specific situation. I will realize that I should be in present. So I will remain calm and focus on chanting. I apologize. I say full moon. Actually, today is new moon day. So it's a new moon day. So it's the same, whether it is full moon or new moon, what we call also Amavasya. Actually, there is an increase in negativity. So it is today. I don't know if some of you may have experienced for the past 2 days, whether there is an increase in negative vibrations, or whether you feel mind is more restless or more anxiety. Just here, negative energy magnified our anxiety. They never create it from scratch. They use it and magnify it. So even today, try to do more spiritual healing remedy, salt water, chanting, and then it will reduce how negatively use this day. From Eman Nagwani, will data chant for 2 hours in morning help in reducing fear and anxiety? See, Emant, we mentioned that chanting helps to reduce number of thoughts in our mind, unwanted thought. Data chant is specific for ancestor problem. So it may help. Why? Because if ancestors cause negative energy, cause or magnify the anxiety, it will definitely help to reduce it. But at the same time, it is important to also address the defect of anxiety. So auto-suggestion also will be helpful. So if you work on data chant, repeating Sri Gurudev Datta to protect from departed ancestors, as well as auto-suggestions for a specific situation that give you anxiety, since you are working on double front. So ultimately, it will give you faster result. To go back to the question from addicted to music, what are good ways to deal with anxious and negative thinking people? See, remember again, we are not here to change the people or situation, but is to change our reactions or our behavior to the situation or a person. So here is, if we change ourselves, we remain more stable, more calm, then we will be able to behave or react differently to a person, whether a person is anxious or whether person is negative in nature. Just to give some examples, there are some seekers who are working in office, and some they were complaining they have so much problem with friends who work on the same company. And what they say is when they started working on themselves, doing spiritual practice, they realized that the situation in the office became different. Some started reacting or behaving differently. So it is not because they have changed, it is because we have changed that the person responds differently to us. It is normal, no? If we are strong and arrogant and speak strongly to someone, somebody, a lot of chance will speak back arrogantly, no, or stronger to us. But if we become humble and we speak nicely, then the person will probably respond nicely also. The person may also respond arrogantly. But here what happened many times, when we change ourselves, situation may change and people may also react differently to us. From Deodatta Baxi, I have fear of medical treatment due to past experience. So here, Deodatta, you can do same auto-suggestion. So some have fear, they have some seekers, they have fear to go to get injections or to do blood tests. So they used to chant so that the mind become more calm. So they were more calm now. So when that situation happened, they were able to remain more calm. So chanting helps. See, ultimately, we don't want chanting to help to face situation. Ultimately, we want to grow now. We want to overcome problem we have. But chanting will help to face a situation like medical treatment. Of course, if sometimes the illness is big, then the medical treatment may be difficult. So that's why autosuggestion also can help. Whenever I have to go for medical treatment, or whenever I feel fearful to go for medical treatment, I realize that I will be taking care well. So I will remain calm, start chanting, and go for the medical treatment. Is okay, Deodata? Like that to say, whenever I have fear of medical treatment, I will realize that I'm in good hands. So I will remain calm, start chanting, and go for my medical treatment. From Eric Nana, you say my brother dies through mysterious way. Since then, when I feel a little bit sick, I feel I will also die the same way. What I can do to overcome it? So same thing, Eric, chanting will help. Chanting will help to reduce the worry or that tension or the number of thoughts in the mind. And a specific autosuggestions also will help. That whenever I feel sick and I remember how my brother died, I will realize that situation is different. So I will remain calm, reassured, and start chanting. Something like that you can frame to tell you that it is not the same, it is different. There is another question from Valentina Shari. You are greeting from Colombia. Okay, namaskar to Colombia. What do you say, spiritually speaking, what they say about a worldwide complot or a new bad order, the Antichrist? Here, Valentina, we are not there to comment on this, whether there is a plot, or we are here to hear the topic. Now it's about anxiety and fear. So whether things are there in the world, no, whether there are all these things happening, ultimately to understand that we are coming towards a difficult time and difficult situations. So whether this happen or this happen, and negative energy is also active and more active. And for us to remain stable, it is important to do some spiritual practice. Chanting is one easy because it can be done anywhere, anytime. And that time we remain stable in whatever situations that will happen to us in the future. Another question from Kavita. Please guide for a person with OCD who always thinks something bad may happen to that person and that person's family. See, for Kavita, OCD is a personality disorder. This is compulsive disorder, so it's like repetition of the same, getting fixed on the specific thoughts. So at that time we have seekers also at SSRF who also suffer from different degree of OCD. We have also some case study of seekers that was able to overcome OCD. So chanting is one way, and autosuggestion also helps to reduce this compulsive disorder. We also at SSRF recommend to continue psychological treatment because this is a psychological disorder. So we recommend to go to a normal doctors to be able to be prescribed a proper treatment. And at the same time, if we do chanting or as well autosuggestions, then the recovery can be much faster. We will paste also for you the case study of seeker that was able to overcome OCD. From Sujata Ulkar, you say, I cannot do chanting during new moon and full moon. We all family members are always disturbed and exhausted. Sujata, what you can do is you can play the divine chant in low tone or in mild tone in the house during that time. Make sure that during this time you keep the divine chant to play on 24 hours. So as in when you hear, you will be reminded to chant. Or at that time, you can wear earphones, no, and listen to the chant. When you do some random activity, you can listen to the chant. So automatically that will remind you. And you can do also some healing remedy like salt water remedy. At the time it helps. It is simple, salt water remedy. You just have to get water in a bucket with salt and put feet and just listen to the divine chant. And that by itself, self-healing remedy will happen. It's just a matter of discipline and planning, Sujata. When new moon and full moon come, at that time you know that it is difficult. It's just to plan in a better way. Put it in low tone, listen to the chant, make some effort also. At that time, maybe if we watch TV all the time, or we like to watch movie, maybe on that day to avoid watching movies. Because we know that, again, at that time, more negativity may be there. At that time, on those days, to focus more on spiritual practice. From Yolanda Cosma, I would love some tips on autosuggestions. See here, Yolanda, this personality defect process, as I shared, was actually done by His Holiness Dr. Vallee, the source of SSRF. We have many articles on the website that you can read. And it is some technique how we frame those autosuggestions, because ultimately you have to frame tailor-made autosuggestion for you. So first is to understand your own mind. So it will be some self-introspections to understand what are the situations that affects you, and in that situation, what is the defect in you triggering or aggravating the situations or aggravating the emotions. So first it is a self-analyze. And this is something you only can do. But here we can help you and guide you by showing you the different defects that exist and how to introspect. So that this is something we help seekers in our online satsang free of charge. This is our platform that SSRF give for seekers, where we help in this process. So you can join also in our online, where we will be explaining a bit much more, and we can help you how to frame autosuggestions. But you can read also the articles to understand a little bit more about this process. Maybe you already understand. You can try also that self-introspection. Try to analyze your own shortcoming or defect, you can say. And then it will become clear what actually we need to change. Again, I remember, we don't want to change a situation or a person, but we want to change ourselves. From Olya Brankovic, I also feel very exhausted. I'm on a sick leave right now, and I broke up with my boyfriend. I use the time for healing through different healers, but I'm afraid of, let's say, under pressure, because I also need a new job. But the exhaustion has to leave. Is more work with healer okay too? See, Olya, here we would like to share that in SSRF now we recommend not to go for healers for two reasons. One is the healer in today's time, if they don't do any spiritual practice, they will not have the capacity to help. Or if they are affected, because if they are healing others, they are prone to be affected by negative energy. So sometimes when you go to a healer, instead of getting healed, we actually get affected negatively. So that's why we recommend not to go to healers. Sometimes what the person happens, they go to healers, they may feel good 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and after they start feeling more bad. Because actually that time, if the healer is affected by negative energy, it infuses negative energy in the person. That's why we recommend self-healing. That's why in SSRF we have only self-healing remedy, like salt water remedy, chanting, nyas, boxes, where actually you are independent, and it helps to free you from these negative vibrations. So this is very important factor, Olya, that ultimately not to go to healers, because it may or may not help you, but 90% of the chance it will not help. And it's a matter of time now, after if you start focusing on trying to increase chanting, and you then you will be able to gain positive vibrations. And when you start getting more positive vibration, then that exhaustion also will reduce. What I can say also, yeah, we will paste on the chat. Last week we had live stream about the 7 different chants for health and mantra for the year 2021, and we have a specific chant also that you can repeat half an hour to 1 hour per day. That helps to gain when somebody have exhaustion or tiredness. There is a divine chant and mantra that you can repeat. It is Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. So you can go back to the live stream. You can listen to the live stream and you can also repeat that chant for half an hour per day to 1 hour maximum. But you can also during the day, random activity, chanting, and especially self-healing remedy, not to go for healers. And on top of that, sometimes healers, no, they may ask for a lot of money also. So that is actually not a good thing. Another question from A. Potterhead. After trying healing mantras meditation for my root chakra, I experienced very hot physical symptom. I am not sure if it is related, but it has put me off. Any advice? See here, Potterhead, what is important? It depends which healing mantra. If you can also share with us what type of healing mantra or meditation you are practicing. Because what can happen sometimes if there is an increase of vibrations in the root chakra, sometimes we may not be able to tolerate. We have also a live stream explaining about Kundalini chakras and awakening of the Kundalini. So it can have sometimes counter effect, and it may, as you say, put the person off. And negative energy also can use, depending how the technique is done. If it is not good technique, it can be means the other way around. It may not be a positive effect. So that's why you can also suggest chanting God's name, and you can use boxes at the root chakra. You can go on our website. We will paste also the link of the boxes remedy, because it helps to remove the black energy or negative vibrations, and salt water also. So if you can try that, and Nyas also, you can do Nyas at the root chakra. So when you chant, repeating God's name, if you can try Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya and doing the Nyas at the root chakra, by touching only you can do, and it may help you moment you experience some hot sensation or some weird feeling. At the time you can do the chant using Nyas. From Garden Know Me, I have anxiety due to my racial background. I am biracial and grew up in a city where both my people were a minority. It is hard for me to figure out how to move about the world. I understand, Garden, that sometimes what you went through or what you are experiencing give you anxiety. It's just to understand here, so what happened to us, this is mainly due to destiny. But how you can get free from that anxiety and to move ahead in this world. You can take these auto-suggestions, or you can see what actually are the thoughts that give you that real anxiety. Is how people judge you, or whether it is whenever I feel judged, or whenever I feel anxiety, how people judge me because of my biracial I grew up. I will realize that God is with me all the time. So I will feel calm and start chanting. So it gives us some peace in our mind. So I can understand what you are experiencing, but you can see, we can help you also, because if we understand the exact thought that troubles you, then we can try to frame that auto-suggestions for you. So you can always, for all of you, where you want help in the auto-suggestion, you can either write on our live chat, or if you wish, you can write to our moderators also. but you can't display now your email ID, so you can always write on our live chat facility where we can answer to you. We will paste also on the chats, the live chat, so you can, we have seeker who answer questions all the time. They do it as a spiritual practice. Huh? Or you can join also if you want to know more about this personality process and learn how to frame auto-suggestions. You can join our satsangs. We'll paste the link also where you can join our free satsang online. Because ultimately, see, here we are helping you, in one suggestions, but tomorrow will be another suggestion, another one, another one. So if you learn this process and slowly learn how to analyze your own self, you learn how to frame autosuggestion, you learn how to understand which thoughts affect you, which defects affect you, then it will be easier for you to carry on and in a way overcome different problems. From Nikhil, already I face chronic disease, but when I have seen people in hospital who are facing health issue like heart and cancer, I become anxiety and fearing about same situation, maybe face identified with the divine principle rather than the physical experience. Also, how do you move about the world once you identify with God? Nika, it is not very clear your experience. Ultimately, we have to practice spirituality. Whatever you see somebody who are healed, so it gives you worry, fear. What will happen to me tomorrow? So it gives you instability. So if we chant God's name or we practice spirituality and we remain stable, whatever situation we see, we are not disturbed by them. And then when we grow more and more spiritually, then we start getting different spiritual experience. For Melanie Gonzalez, you say how to slow my thinking or fast reaction to others who are anxious seeking. They ask fast emotional questions and I wish to slow down and respond at my pace. So Melanie, you can do that also, no? It's not because somebody, see sometimes what happens, no? People are stressed. And because of that, we respond in the same way, in the same stress. That's why chanting, when we chant, we are able to go away from our mind. So at that time, we remain more stable, more calm. So if somebody responds to us with stress or expects a fast answer, because we are stable mind, we will answer calmly. We will not be affected by the pace of the mind of others. There's one more question from Lokesh. You said, I'm chanting Gayatri mantra daily. Is it okay to remove negative energy? So Lokesh, just to share about Gayatri mantra. So Gayatri mantra is a different name, but mantras, but it may not be helping. Let's say if the problem you are facing may be caused by departed ancestors. At that time, Gayatri mantra will not help. Or let's say if you are affected by some negative vibrations, at that time Gayatri mantra will not help. That's why we should repeat a chant specific after the problem we face. So usually for negative energy, either we repeat Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, or if it is departed ancestors, and most of the time problem caused by negative energy are caused by ancestor problem. And here we recommend Sri Gurudev Datta. So dear Sika, it is very nice that we went through many of your questions, and then I hope you got some solution also for your problems that you can overcome, because we can overcome anxiety and fear or different problem you share. Again, it's a matter of putting into practice. There is no secret in spirituality or in any field. If we have to put into practice step by step in a proper manner, and then it's a matter of time to be able to overcome any problem. And in spirituality, or if you practice it, then not only you can attain stability, but you can attain also a much higher state of happiness. So dear seeker, I would like to end this live stream for today. I wanted to share that we have our collective chanting meditation. So this is one thing that you can also start joining to attend our collective chanting meditation. It is 5 times a week. So it is Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We have also our next series of question answer will be next Wednesday. We will be interviewing a seeker that will come from Singapore. He will be online also, and he will share what he did to progress fast spiritually, what effort or what he did, which is very nice also if you also want to know how that seeker make good and fast spiritual progress. And this Sunday also, Sunday coming, that will be on 17 January, it will be one workshop of 3 hours. It is through Zoom, and it is through donation, and you can give whatever you like or can. And in these 3 hours, there will be 2 hours topic of what we say spiritual lifestyle for happiness. That means what music we listen to, which color we wear, what hairstyle we keep, or how we make our home. The different lifestyles that we have help us to make spiritual progress. And the other part of the 1 hour will be subtle experiment. We will do a few subtle experiments. You can test your sixth sense. So dear seeker, I hope you learn from this live stream. I wish you all the best, that if you practice and you can overcome anxiety and fear. But dear seeker, don't hesitate to come to our live chat if you have questions, or if you want to know more about the Persei defect process to learn how to frame auto-suggestion. You can join also our online free satsang. Namaskar to all of you.